Alright, let's talk Enfield. Enfield's an outer London borough located in the north of London. It sits amongst boroughs with the highest income inequality in London. The out of work benefit claim rate is also very high at 17% of the working age population. A large proportion of the borough's residents are in low paid jobs at 28.7% compared to the London average of 20%. Enfield has a relatively high proportion of 19-year-olds without level 3 qualification at 36% compared to the average of 24% across boroughs. Enfield has risen from being the 12th to the 9th most deprived London borough between 2015 and 2019. Just under a third of households in the borough are in poverty, as well as 1 in 3 children living in poverty. We know poverty breeds crime, and wherever there's crime there are gangs. Let's have a look at the history of Enfield gangs. DA, aka Dem Africans. Dem Africans formed around late 2006 when a group of predominantly African youths who had come over to London from Congo and other African countries began making a name for themselves in Edmonton. Edmonton being a town in Enfield Borough, by the way. They were one of a handful of youth gangs who were emerging at the time in Edmonton. The others were Red Brick Thugs and Grey Gang. Dem Africans claimed Edmonton Green as their turf. They were prominent around the green where the 3 tower blocks are situated, and also behind the train station on the revamped Barbour Estate. They branded the towers as 1, 2, 3 blocks, and the Barbour Estate was known as 41st. Prominent DA members included Chops, Usher, Black H, G-Man, Negus, Criminal, Puncher, Mega, Riddler, etc. DA's main war was with GMG, a gang headquartered in Enfield Island Village and controlling the Enfield Lock area. Their major other conflict was with Grey Gang, who were allied with Shankstars. Now let's take a look at GMG, aka Get Money Gang, formed around Enfield Island Village. Originally was somewhat of an offshoot to the Black Gang from the same area. A young man known as Chaos was the creator of the Get Money Gang, which originated in 2007. Some prominent members include Chaos, Shadow, Combat, Birdie, Chicken. In 2007, the divide of Edmonton started. Edmonton had somewhat been peaceful and close-knit amongst this new generation. All the gangs situated there were calm with each other, much in the same way that Edmonton and Tottenham had been close throughout the 1990s. However, this was about to change. On the 1st of January 2008, 18-year-old Henry Balombi, also known as Black H, was attacked by a group of 4 youths in Edmonton as he made his way home from seeing New Year celebration. Black H initially had fled the bus, but was chased by a group who attacked him with a glass bottle, a knife and a broom. The vicious attack sadly resulted in the death of Mr. Balombi. The gang responsible were known as the Everstrap Yardmen and were from Tottenham N17. Onique, 25, a Jamaican national, and Jamal Graham, 25, also a Jamaican national, were convicted of the murder of Black H at the Old Bailey and sentenced to life. Another man involved, known as Martin, fled the country and started a new life on the run in America. After 9 years on the run, he was extradited from North Carolina in September 2017, where he was living under a new identity. Mr. Marty was the one who first reached Black H and immediately smashed a glass bottle over his head. He wasn't convicted of murder, however he was convicted of manslaughter and jailed for 11 years. Exactly 3 weeks following Black H's death, Edmonton was rocked by another teenage murder. Louis Baduka, also known by his street name Usher, a member of Dem Africans gang, was stabbed to death on Silver Street near the heart of the Red Brick Thugs territory. As I mentioned earlier, Tottenham and Edmonton had historic ties. Red Brick were associated to the Everstrap gang who had killed Black H, and even after his death, Red Brick maintained ties with a Tottenham-based gang, effectively picking a side. At the time of the murder, Usher and another Dem Africans gang member called Mega had spotted Kevin Lewis, a Red Brick Thugs member. They approached Lewis with Usher throwing a punch that knocked him to the ground. This caused Kevin Lewis to draw a knife and stab Usher in the heart, sadly resulting in his death. On the hearing of Usher's death, his father nearly collapsed with shock and had to take medication, while his daughter had to receive counselling. Now Lewis, who arrived in the UK from Jamaica aged 14, said he was paranoid most of the time about being attacked and had been robbed 5 times prior in only 4 years. He was carrying a knife and wearing a stab-proof vest and argued he acted in self-defense. He never met Usher before, he said. He didn't recognize him nor know his name. Kevin Lewis was found guilty of manslaughter and only sentenced to 5 years. The sentencing brought more misery to Usher's father, who said he had no faith in the criminal justice system after the verdict on his son's killer. Rumours and speculation surrounding the murder by young people in the area had blamed a different gang for the murder, whilst Mega was in hospital being treated for chest and arm wounds. N18 gang members were being blamed by Dem African. There was a lot of distrust between the two sides, and Dem Africans began attacking Grey Gang. Edmonton gang relationship became more volatile. It was no longer Edmonton, it was clearly N9, Dem Africans versus N18, Grey Gang and the Red Brick areas. Now back to GMG, Get Money Gang, the new offshoot of the Black Gang. See, in their early days they were often targeted by members of DA who travelled up to Island Village to rob members of the Black Gang. The younger generation of DA, young Dem Africans, carried on this trend and the rivalry between the two areas grew. A number of stabbings have taken place between the two rival gangs from 2008 onwards, although many failed to make headlines unless they were fatal, of course. Chaos. GMG was caught lacking on a bus stop and rushed by DA members. Get Money Gang members retaliated for this by stabbing up Caution pretty badly, and in the late 2009, a Crime Watch appeal showed the exact footage of the knife attack capturing GMG members stabbing a DA member at Edmonton Green bus station.
Around 10 PM on a Thursday night in April, and these cameras pick up a chase between two groups of youths in Edmonton, North London. The 20-strong group is hunting down a member of a rival gang, and as they run through the bus station, they finally catch up with him. The attackers are armed with baseball bats and knives, and they set about their victim in a ferocious attack, stabbing him 19 times. Remarkably, he survived, but the gang who did this need to be caught. There's a £10,000 reward for information leading to the conviction of the attackers. So help end this senseless violence.
A string of attacks continued to happen, mainly from Edmonton's sides. They were simply the stronger side as they were older and had a lot more members. The GMG crew, made up mostly of young teenagers, were urged by their older Black Gang members such as G-Man to forget about their conflicts with the Edmonton gang and to concentrate on making money, which goes with the theme, Get Money Gang. See, DA youngers would glide to Albany Park where they would spot Chaos again for the second time. This time D-Rose, Tiny and Negus would stab him up viciously and then proceeded to dash him in a river. Thankfully Chaos survived, however the attack was so savage that he ended up losing a toe in the process. See, Chaos's brother Ninja would hear of the news. Enraged, he rounded up a few GMG members and they retaliated by stabbing up Sweeps, but he didn't stop there. Sadly, on the 10th of April 2011, GMG members including Ninja, Shadow, Chaos, Birdie, to name a few, decided to glide on bicycles to Edmonton, where they spotted Negus with his brother.
One evening in April 2011, members of the Enfield EN3 Get Money Gang cycled south into N9. Their mission, to attack Negus McLean, who was a member of the rival Dem Africans or DA gang. Then they spotted their target.
Negus and his brother were chased into this street, but then they both came off their bikes. Negus said to his little brother, "Run and don't look back," and he was able to make his way to safety down there. But then the gang caught up with Negus and attacked him. They stabbed him with such ferocity that the blade snapped off the knife.
Negus McLean died that night in hospital. The family spoke of their grief on the BBC's Crime Watch.
Ninja, Shadow and Chaos all beat this case. On the evening of April 1st, 2013, members of the Edmonton group, DA, including Nat Nice, gathered in Bouncers Road. In Edmonton, a dark Vauxhall Corsa drove past, in which Chicken and Shadow of the Enfield gang were riding. Nat Nice and the others gave them a chase. Nat Nice then left and returned later with a bag containing a sawn-off shotgun and ammunition. 10 minutes later, a black BMW arrived. Shadow and Chicken both got out and began walking towards the Best Kebab shop in Bouncers Road. They were followed by members of the Edmonton gang, before Nat Nice calmly put down the bag and fired at Chicken, who was unarmed, before chasing him down and shooting him again. Chicken's brother Shadow from the BMW ran across and pointed his gun at Nat Nice's group, but for whatever reason it did not fire. Most likely it jammed. He got back into his car and drove off. Chicken, who had been hit in the chest, collapsed in the alleyway between Bouncers Road and the car park. Chicken sadly died at the scene. Just 2 years prior, on the same month, Shadow was involved in a murder that saw his op witness his brother die right before his eyes, and now he himself witnessed the same thing. Nat Nice was sentenced to 27 years for murder.